Welcome back. Standard Chartered says that Bitcoin's value could hit $100,000 by the end of 2024. Take a look at where it is right now at $27,322. It is down this morning. Joining me right now is the head of Republic Crypto, Andrew Durgee. Andrew, good to see you. What do you think? Is it going to 100,000?
Well, Maria, as we look at the larger macro market, like even beyond digital assets, it becomes apparent that fiat currencies are continuing to struggle. So even here in the U.S., the Fed continues to battle inflation through increasing interest rates. The use case of Bitcoin as a store of value just continues to get stronger. And we're just over a year away from something called the halvening, which is where the difficulty to mine or create a Bitcoin will double. And most of the core theses around these predictions that you're going to see all year long are going to be centered around this halvening process that will take place a little over a year from now, next summer, which I fully anticipate is going to be a global macro financial event.
Maybe, but we're all expecting regulation to come to the crypto space. What will the regulation look like? And does that put barriers in place to growth?
I think everyone at this point is pushing for regulation. If we look at the European market, for example, they just passed a law called Markets and Crypto Act, or MiCA, which is really a global first in trying to regulate the space holistically. It's really focused at protecting retail investors and creating additional transparency on a lot of these crypto public offerings. This is something we could easily do in the U.S., but unfortunately, the reality is that we just aren't doing that. Now we're falling behind a lot of the industry globally. What does this mean? Well, U.S. companies, citizens, congressmen are pushing for regulatory guidance from the SEC, and seemingly the SEC is just refusing to provide it. So Gary Gensler was in front of Congress earlier last week, where they were grilling him for additional regulatory clarity and frameworks, and he just continually kind of dodged those questions. So, what is that going to mean for us? Well, American fintech dominance is going to struggle, especially in this sector. Jobs are going to leave, and they're going to move to other areas outside the continental U.S., other jurisdictions.
Well, because we don't know whose jurisdiction it is. We don't know if it's the SEC, if it's another agency that will be overseeing this. Mark Tepper is with me this morning. Mark, jump in.
Hey, Andrew. It seems like over the course of the last few years, Bitcoin was a beneficiary of two major things. Number one, a massive influx of liquidity, which is now actually going negative. And number two, this flight to safety as deposits came out of smaller banks. It seems like it may have found a home in Bitcoin. With those no longer being the case, do you think that presents headwinds for Bitcoin going forward?
I think inevitably, if there's not clear regulatory frameworks, particularly in the U.S., there is going to be headwinds, right? A great example is look at Coinbase. Coinbase yesterday just filed to the SEC, forcing them to have to provide a ruling on a filing they did a year ago, of which they've heard nothing, right? So now the SEC is going to have to give them an answer, which they fully anticipate to be negative. But once that ruling is made negative, the Coinbase can now actually fight that in the courts. So it's very hard to build a global business within a jurisdiction that just refuses to play ball with you, right? And I think, Bitcoin is something that's going to suffer from that, particularly in the U.S., until those regulatory frameworks are made more clear.
Well, I mean, Coinbase is suing the SEC. I mean, they're asking the regulator to share, like you said, publicly share the answer to a months-old petition on whether it would allow the crypto industry to be regulated using existing SEC frameworks. Is that the way the regulatory environment should change, the existing framework?
So at Republic, we built everything we do at Republic on 1930 securities law. We do tokenized securities at Republic on those types of frameworks. It's extremely difficult, right? But we went the hard way. We went the difficult route. Inevitably, that cannot be the permanent reality.
We've got breaking news right now on earnings. Andrew, great to see you. Andrew Durgee.